Is it that if this guy loses and we get another violent president, we'll be okay with violence? Or is it that we've had a come to Jesus moment where we're like, the president and the state have been killing people, this needs to stop permanently?
Yeah.
And that's what I don't have an answer to. He really went after the judiciary. I think he imported a chief justice from somewhere.
Yeah.
Who's really the one who got the judiciary into a mess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll remember his name and I'll send it to you. And then now the rulings now became political. That's when the judiciary properly shifted. You can't, unless you're really, really reckless, you can't just borrow money from public markets in a day. You compound it and the interest rates go up. And our debt has been compounding over time. And now it's when the debt is due. And for us to be in this position, there's all that debt was accumulated during Kenyatta's time, and there was no tied-linked productivity.
So you met at IKOLO. It was early this year.
Yeah.
And
they went off on a rant.
Yes. We were talking about Kenyan politics.
Yes.
And I think you are the first guy that I heard that said we are judging Ruto too harshly.
I don't want to go down that path.
Yes.
I don't want to say that because then I'll be crucified.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what I mean. I have another problem, and I'll phrase it differently.
Yes.
Because when that clip came out, I had no peace in my WhatsApp groups, and I don't want.
But is any clip here? What's it called?
The one Sergeant posted.
Yes.
But it's tied to the same thing. The point I've been trying to make, and I just want to put it fully.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we've not been angry earlier.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is why we are angry. Because when you look at our history, we've been through worse with less opprobrium. And that is the delta that I've been unable to connect. I look at our past and the sheer amount of death, displacement, and chaos the government has caused in the last 60 years. And I have never been able to square this circle and fully understand why we've been okay with our leadership.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I've found that we've been okay with it. You go back to my tweets from 2012, 2011. I was rabid. Like I was really against our Jubilee government at the time. And like, I was against many of these things. And I never squared why the country was comfortable with it. I spoke out. Like I remember speaking out and being like, hey guys, like what's this? Because when you start going back into Kenya's history, we this state kills people.
I think that statement has gotten me into trouble, kabisa. Because I always say that at least you say it with a certain level of, I don't know how to put it, but to me the show is called Iko Nini. So let's tell people that the phrase Iko Nini is, I'm going to tell you what I think, whether you like it or not. And that's why now I call them the Johnny Come Latelys. I'll be like, you know it all. No, I don't know it all. What I'm telling you is my opinion, and I know it might hurt your feelings. So I've always been the guy telling people, even Uhuru used to kill. Don't say that this Ruto guy has. Alafu now, when you say Kibaki used to kill, people now lose their shit. Like, how dare you say Kibaki, the perfect president? Used to then Ambia Moi did the same, Kenyatta did the same. Let's judge this present guy. At least as we judge him harshly, let's not say that he started it. Because I think that's
actually you've nailed my concern. I think it's a continuation of what we are used to.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's new. I look at, so you start going back. You know, people have forgotten that Mishuki was the guy who said, if you rattle a snake, you should be prepared to be beaten.
Yeah.
That we were complaining about in Kaiseri. That we were complaining about Kaiseri. We complained about, I think, Matiangi. Uhuru The reason why he left me very unsettled, this thing where parliament votes as a block.
Yeah.
He made it clear in a Moranga speech, I think in 2009, that was the path he was going to follow. That parliament has to be subservient to the executive. And I remember watching that clip and being like, it's in Kikuyu, but it's a very unsettling clip. It's on the Capital FM YouTube. And so that's when now you have the proper start of parliament being bought and paid for. Now this is from around 2013, when now whatever the president wants is
what parliament
does. Like a lot of these things have been there. Like then now you start looking at death outside of Nairobi. You start looking at death in slums, and this is what I spoke about in the other podcast. There have always been two states. There have been the poorer areas and the wealthier areas. And as a country, I think we've just ignored deaths that happen in places like, Elgeyo Marakwet, in places like, because I remember like in 2019, a friend of mine passed away.
Yeah.
And we were going to near Pokot for the funeral. And that was one of the issues we were dealing with, like security. Will we actually be able to get there?
Yeah.
And then now it begins to become clear that the people in this country who live in fear of the state and fear of their neighbors. You go to Kitale and there's this about land defense force. They've been there throughout. But then you also have now cops routinely killing people in places like Dandora.
Yeah.
People joke about these things when all these cops come. Because I remember there was a time I watched a clip of cops arresting some kids in Westlands.
Yeah.
And they lined them up on the road and they shot all of them. And this was caught on camera.
Yeah.
And at the back of my mind, I was thinking, hey, guys, do we really know who everyone is? Because there are a bunch of people who get caught up in friendly fire. And we've been okay with extrajudicial killings in estates, and we're like, yeah, these guys are cleaning up the situation. But there are quite a number of innocent people who die.
Who get caught up
estates. In that. This kid who was called Carlton, who was killed in Kibra. We're okay with cops shooting. And that's kind of where I struggle. I think we should have anger about death and violence and state violence. But when people try and make it seem like we lived in a peaceful period before, there's a Wikipedia page with all the massacres that have happened in this country. And like we have access to the news and newspaper archives, and just have a look at what the state did to citizens throughout the years.
During COVID, you remember Kianjokoma brothers?
Yeah, there were quite a number of people who died just for being outside without a mask. And this is one of the things why Mamdani's book is very important, because it captures the fact that in parts of this city, in this country, the state is unusually violent to its citizens.
Yes.
It happens in places that the news is not there.
Yeah.
But if you talk to any journalist or anybody who lives in the village, the state has been very violent and very unfair to people over the years.
Your Mamdani's book is called what?
I think it's Citizen and something, but it's Mahmood Mamdani. Yeah. Citizen and Subject or something to that effect.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing that a lot of people can't understand. Because I think, why do you think, not should I go back in time, but why do you think 2024 was different? Why do you think in 2024 all of a sudden our conscience was awakened?
Economics. So if you look at how, I don't remember the stats offhand.
Yes.
I wish I had time to collate them. But most previous budgets, even in the Kenyatta era, had very small increases in tax revenue.
Okay.
The 2023 budget had like a very, very large increase in tax revenue.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you're looking to, I forget the exact numbers, but it's like, let's say, they say you're looking to collect 1 trillion shillings the next year, trying to collect 1.3.
Yes.
Like nearly, it was an insane jump in tax revenue spend, but it was Ruto's first budget. So it just flew sort of under the radar. People were not paying attention. And then when it finally kicked in, guys suddenly felt it in their pockets.
Yes.
You know, we're all downstream from tax policy. And so guys suddenly felt poorer. And when he tried doing the same thing in 2024, guys were like, Yani, no, you can't do this again.
Yes.
Which is valid. And this is something people seem to misunderstand about Kenya and many other countries. If you go back to Kenya's history, we were one of the first countries to draw down IMF funding in the 70s.
Yes.
It's not by chance that JM Kariuki was busy complaining about the state of the economy in 1975. Golden Bug happens. It's not by chance that people start complaining and fighting for multipartyism by 1990. Well, not Golden Bug, but like the other economic shenanigans.
Yes.
I think the IMF wanted Kenya to pass reforms and we didn't, and IMF pulled out. Like, it's a bit more complicated. And the economy was doing badly. So by the time we are getting to the year 2001, guys want Mwai out. Kibaki's development was not viewed as inclusive enough. People wanted him out. You can actually tie many of these things directly to the economy. One of the reasons why, if you go and look at Museveni's economic history, that country has had a fairly stable, like they have not had proper recessions.
Yes.
So they have always had positive growth year on year. And so the thing that causes a lot of these rebellions is the economy.
Okay.
It's tied to the economy. And people, when there's was it a Bush or a Clinton advisor who said it's the economy stupid? It's literally tied to that. We let our presidents get away with a lot, so long as, and this kind of ties into what I've been saying. When the economy has been fine, we've been perfectly okay with chaos in this economy.
Yes.
In this country. Like when after PEV in 2007, the economy was on the up and up on most metrics. Guys were okay with everything that was happening, and people just moved on with their lives, even though there was a lot of harm happening within the country. The economy is why people voted, quote unquote, out Kenyatta in 2022.
Yes.
They were not voting in Ruto, they were voting out Kenyatta. It was the economy was bad, people were being harmed. This economy is not turned around by 2027. I don't think the guy will survive. But a lot of this is tied to the economy. When you look at most revolutions, even when you look at like the Arab Spring, tied to economics. You go to the US, a lot of what, if you watched The Big Short, at the end, the guy says, I hope in a few years we'll not be blaming the poor and immigrants. Because it was clear. What happened was an erosion of the income of the poor, of the masses. And that was not fixed. And there's a guy who wrote a lovely book about it, Ray Dalio. And basically, as soon as people get poor, the revolution start. So like that was, I don't know if it was necessary or not. What was very clear is that the government was over-leveraged by 2022. So what needed to be done in 2023, I don't know. But that attempt to significantly increase tax revenue was what led to the protests. That was the trigger, because the budgetary increase in 2023 was one of the largest in our history. But it was snacking. Like, people were not paying attention, and people were also willing to forgive because he just come in. So maybe things are bad. But then at the same time, when this is happening, while our wallets are being raided and all of this, you're seeing these stories of corruption and the largesse and all of this. And then you're trying to raid our pockets again, so people blow up. So I think it's mainly economic. I personally think that our presidents have all been horrible, but I don't know. None of the people I voted for have ever won, so maybe I don't know much about politics.
Yeah, because I always tell people that in 2017, the murders were so bad. Remember, after the elections were nullified, yes? The murders were so bad that I remember Matiang'i telling people that he does not want anyone to share images of dead people. And people forgot all this. So eventually when Ruto comes in, and I think when people hear us talking about history and saying these things have been happening, they think we are trying to justify.
I'm not. Here's the thing. Here's the point I've been making. I don't think we should be okay with death.
Yes.
I don't understand why we've been okay with it in the past. And so if you look at I think it was the Wajir massacre in 1980.
Yeah.
government set up a village, like set it on fire. I think 3,000 people died.
Yeah.
The state has been violent throughout. And my struggle has been, I don't know if this is, we are better people, we've changed, and this is our new standard going forward. Or it's that this is the guy who we do not want to do these things. But after this guy, the other guy can continue.
Yeah.
Because, and this is a very difficult example to use because it's very charged politically. In 2002, Kibaki comes in and says, no. We didn't want to reform anything. We just wanted Mwai out.
Yeah.
But you'd spent 10 years in IPPG, and Yashpal guy, and all these things to get a new constitution. Then when you're in power, you say, no. We just didn't want that guy to have this power, but we want to have this power.
Yes.
That's the dichotomy I'm struggling with. Is it that if this guy loses and we get another violent president, we'll be okay with violence? Or is it that we've had a come to Jesus moment where we're like, the president and the state have been killing people, this needs to stop permanently?
Yeah.
And that's what I don't have an answer to.
Because I think ni hiyo vile umeita come to Jesus moment, because I think that's the reason why I normally have a problem with when people, like for example, propose Matiang'i. Because I always look at Matiang'i and I look at the guy who used to ignore court orders. And I'm like, if this guy ends up president, he's going to do the same things that Ruto does. And I even feel like Ruto so far may ignore how many court orders, because I don't know how many he's ignored. Because Uhuru, I remember it was like every day. He used to ignore them. So ndio nasema, like, with that in mind, I also say that we can't make protests like this cool thing, because sometimes I feel like we're trying to make it cool. So itakuwa like, sawa, let's protest, Ruto atoke, then we vote in, we bring another violent guy, and then we go back to the streets. We have to avoid going back to the streets. The streets should be the last option.
Resort. Yeah.
So if we can look at the leaders and look at their track records and be like, you know what, this guy looks like a sort of guy who's still going to continue yu mangaya kutupiga risasi, wacha tumuavoid tuende for this other guy.
And part of the problem I have, and this is like a fundamental political issue, is there are no perfect saints.
Yeah.
And so when you look at a guy like FDR, he passed so many reforms in the US, but you could not have forecasted him as a person.
Yeah.
De Klerk was to the right of Botha, if I remember correctly. De Klerk was a proper apartheid guy. And when he became president, he quickly reformed that country. And it's the same with Boris Yeltsin, if I remember, or Gorbachev, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
We have windows into leaders who have become, who are reacting to the system that they had in front of them, but who saw the system as evil and wanted to fix it.
Yeah.
Because and something I mentioned in the other podcast is our leaders are fairly well educated. Somebody like Saitoti was an airlift person.
Yeah.
Who was a mathematician. So he's a logic educated guy. And when you look at his publications on public finance management in Africa, etc., they're flying in the face of what you saw when he was finance, when this Goldenberg and all of this was happening. And so I don't know what the answer is, because I suspect as a country, we don't really have good options. We don't have a perfect saint who can come in and has the political and social capital to actually win the election. Here's the thing that I'll point out. Our presidents have been getting less violent over time.
Yeah.
And they've been having less and less power over time. So, the first president was effectively an emperor. Second president was a dictator who was forced to become a democrat. Third president was a wannabe dictator, but the fourth president had quite an amount of power curtailed.
Yeah.
And this president has now got to deal with an economy that doesn't allow him to do what he wants, and a public that's more vigilant.
Yeah.
I think on the general arc, things get better. And a lot of the things that happened in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, even noughties, in the 10s, can no longer happen. I'm not convinced we'll have like a Obama Mandela moment. where we have, and even those guys had their own issues, but
yes,
where we have somebody who like the entire country rallies behind. I think part of this opposition is how we get better leaders. For whatever reason they're opposing, but just having people who are telling the president, you will not get away with X, Y, Z, I think is useful.
Yeah. And so now, I think one of the things na Jojo yako ni you've really studied Kenya's history, yes?
Yeah.
So if you're to go back to colonialism, there are a lot of people who say that kulikuwa na a policy of divide and rule.
Yes.
And this is the reason why we are as tribal as we are.
Yes.
Do you think there's a correlation in that?
Yes and no. We've had choices in Kenya to be better and we've not taken them. And I'd say Kenya's leadership has narrowly found a banana peel it refuses to slide on.
Yeah.
We keep making mistakes we didn't need to make. Colonialism did a lot of the divide and rule. You know, it was, the first massacre in this country was actually, I think, the Kalenjin.
Yeah.
They protested the British and they just opened fire and killed a bunch of them. And what happened from then on was like the British were getting communities they wanted to work with, etc., and creating like this tiered system. Kikuyus got the brunt of it later on during the emergency when they went fighting.
Yeah.
Where Kenya started going wrong was actually, ironically and unfortunately, Tom Mboya. Because by the time the Lancaster conferences were over, we had a constitution that had devolution back in the 60s.
You go Majimboism.
Yeah, Majimbo. And I used to hear Sharif Nasir mention it, and I'd be like, what's he on about? And Mwai will say Majimbo is bad, but now like as an adult, I'm like, okay, this is... Tom Mboya is the one who got rid of it. He said, like, we need to consolidate power around Kenyatta. And then we passed sessional paper, I think in 1965. I think it's sessional paper number 10, which is, or whatever, that now created this dual citizen system in Kenya.
Yes.
That's, I think, where we lost the plot, because that paper effectively made it okay to leave some parts of the country without development. Yeah.
Yeah, kama hamfuati rais.
Not only that, but if you view that you're not productive. So you look at a place like
Turkana. Oh, yeah, okay.
Turkana. Like you're not, you're just there. And the government has said, you guys just do not deserve anything. No roads, no water, nothing. You guys just stay there. So that's where that really started.
Yes.
Then when the new elites came, they basically viewed the colonial infrastructure as very useful and just doubled down on using it to strengthen their power. Yeah.
So this was now the sessional paper.
There's a sessional paper, I think sessional paper number 10.
Number 10, 1965.
I think it was paper number 10. I might be wrong.
Yes, it's number 10. Yes. Yeah. And so history pia ya land. How, because there's one thing I've never understood, but someone like you who may study history, you might understand it better than me. The Rift Valley issue, the one that leads to now the ethnic conflicts that we saw like in 2007. So this is said to have been planted na Kenyatta.
It was not entirely. Some of these things are like a bit more complicated.
Yeah.
It's not entirely. So part of what happened was some Kikuyus were farming land in the Rift. And so when, so the British government gives a bunch of loans for the Kenya government to buy back the land.
Yeah.
And some of those guys are given the farms too, because that's where they've been cultivating.
Yes.
So it's sort of like preferential, whatever. And then now there's also the fact that like where my dad and granddad settled in Dondori was actually Maasai land. Some of that was, if I remember correctly, some of that was Maasai land. So like the bunch of Kikuyus who now, because of the elites taking the land in Kiambu and many of these other parts,
yes,
never had land, and so now they had to find other places to settle them. That's kind of like the original sin, because now it created like a landless cohort. And it's like people say like I'm not blaming the Kikuyu because they're also victims in this, because now if you think about somebody who was settled in the Rift, your safety is compromised, your land was taken, and now you've been put in somebody else's land, and that has now created a conflict. So it's not even good for you. Because you don't hear like conflicts between the Kamba and let's say the Taita or what have you. Like when ancestral land was divvied up correctly, there's no conflict about borders.
Yeah.
But like this thing now caused this eternal conflict and tension between the two communities because one community has effectively been forced to sacrifice.
Yeah.
For this other community, and now that causes this eternal hostility. And there's no, I don't know what the right solution is because okay, fine. So let's say you wake up and say, okay, fine. Let's remove the Kikuyus from the rift. Where do you take them? It's their land. Like legally, it's their land. And even if you're taking them somewhere, where are you getting land to take them to? You're either buying land from somebody else or you're dispossessing someone. Does the budget have some of these problems are best solved at origin because now you have a compounding problem over time. So, a good example is, there was some roads in Nairobi that no longer exist because people grabbed the land that those roads were on. And then now time has passed. Actually, the best example is Wilson Airport. If you go to Google Maps, look at Wilson 2005, 2010, 2015, 2020, and now. Houses are increasingly around Wilson.
Yeah, which is super dangerous.
But now, we're going to get to a point where it's no longer safe for airplanes to land. What do you do? Like now, if you check the water tank that supplies Wilson, it's surrounded by housing.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? As in, now you've created a more complicated problem than you can solve because people now have built their homes and settled here.
Yes.
So you can't just come and evict them. But you also have businesses that are around Wilson and you also can't. Like the problem with some of these things is you create intractable problems. So I actually don't know what the right solution is, what the answer is to this situation.
Because vile umesema juu ya Wilson Airport, remind we had an episode here with this guy, what's his name? Ndovuku.
Yeah.
So Ndovuku studied like your aeronautical engineering, nini. And I remember Kibonga Jia, like when he looks at Wilson Airport and what's happening, the thing that comes to his mind is Murphy's Law. Here, anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah.
So according to him, it's only a matter of time before a plane lands in a house and it's a disaster. And Kiloni within a Kenya we can avoid this. But I think we've become so corrupt that like to go beyond redemption.
But that's now the problem with the elite because now that's what Mamdani's book sort of talks about. You create intractable problems. So when you see that grabbing land leads to wealth, what do you do as a citizen?
You grab.
Yeah. So you sort of created the path for people to follow. And which is why like you saw there was that piece of land in Athi River where people had been told the governor had put adverts, people still bought and built houses.
Yes.
When the government comes to destroy, they are trying to now get the owner to forcefully sell the land to them. Like this keeps happening. We have this problem of lions in there's a wildlife corridor people have settled in. That's why you're hearing people talking about moving the park because now you have human-wildlife conflict. People have settled in a corridor that was ideally not supposed to have human habitation, and there's now this conflict that's come up. The guys who resettled people there and gave out the titles are long gone. Now your family is there. How are you going to tell somebody to forgo their life savings?
Yeah.
So some of these corruption problems that started at the top create insane problems for everyone else downstream. So even if you're to say that, for instance, you're going to go after Kikuyu land, for instance, some of that land is a place like Thindigo. Place has a few 100,000 people living there. How are you going to deal with that?
It's been overtaken by the events. Like now rewinding becomes really hard.
You can't undo it, but now also the current situation is not exactly tenable.
Alafu nini, the fallout between Jaramogi na Kenyatta, how do you think, like through history, like what have you learned about that? How why did it happen and how?
There were different temperaments. Jaramogi was more of a socialist. Kenyatta was more of a
capitalist.
ish. I wouldn't say strictly capitalist, but they fell out over that. And Jaramogi had his ties to the west, to the east, and he really didn't mind using them. Some of these things, like looking back, they are quite complicated, because countries that didn't deal with this, so it's a complicated situation. It's complicated. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. Because the reason nakuuliza ni try kuangalia, so now the 1969 massacre happens. Yes. So is this when now the 1969 oath happened, after ama ili happen when?
I think it was around that time when the fight with Jaramogi happened. Then there was like a push for loyalty within Central.
So hapo ndio the oath ika happen. Okay, alafu, do you think that also helped in now entrenching the tribal politics?
The tribal politics had been entrenched beforehand. The instance, there were different communities treated differently by the states. That's why I use the example of it's not the Kikuyu's fault, but the fact that they were resettled. Like there was an attempt to make sure that no Kikuyu was left behind when it comes to land.
Yes,
but that same rule was not applied for other communities. You sort of entrench one sort of, and even within Central, there was the saying that the motorcycles will never cross the Chania River.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So somebody like Kibaki, if you watch the video of his funeral, when the motorcade is crossing the River Chania, the journalists actually speak about it. So there was already that supremacy baked in, and then it started, and so like initially the tension was Kikuyus and Luos, and then it evolved to Kikuyus and Kalenjins, because the Kikuyus didn't want Moi to rise to power.
Yeah.
When he rose to power, he really clamped down on them, and quite a number of Kikuyu businessmen. So that distrust kicked in.
Yeah.
And then you also have, because Kenya is largely outside of the communities jostling for power.
Yeah.
There's very little tribalism, and this is something people don't actively think about. Kamba community has no beef with anyone. The Luyas, they're perfectly fine. A lot of this has been the head of the Kalenjins telling them, "Oh, you don't like the Kikuyus," and the head of the Kikuyus telling them, "You go this way," and the head of the Luyas. But when you go down to the citizen level, especially outside these three communities, people are fine.
Yenyewe inakuwa Wajaka, Luos, Kikuyus, Kalenjins. Yes.
No, the Kikuyus intermarry with everyone else. Kalenjins intermarry. There's a lot of harmony in the rest of the country.
Yes.
It's just this land and political problem.
History Chania River, I think I've heard it, but I've never understood it. Like, where is Chania River and what does it separate?
Somewhere.
In a separate what? Kiambu and?
Yeah, Kiambu and the rest of Central.
So, Kenyatta was from Kiambu? Gatondo iko Kiambu?
It's in Kiambu County. That general area.
Mu assume Gatondo iko huko Manyeri and...
No, Gatondo is just here. It's the next turn after Ruiru. Before you get to Thika, you make Kenyatta Road, you hang a left.
Damn, I always assume, like I lazy view too. Na assume nikisikia jina Gatondo, I assume it's...
No, like if I show you on a map...
Yeah. So now the power ilikuwa inafaa kuwa Kiambu, Iswai and these other places. So there is in Nyeri. Okay. So power ilikuwa inafaa kwa nini? Okay, that's nini. I didn't know that. And
so you see, this is Kenyatta Road over here.
Tikundeza, just screen record it and
I'll show you, but it's Kenyatta Road leads to... Is it Kenyatta Road? Yeah, it's over here. This is Ruiru. The next turn goes to Gatondo. And then you have the...
Okay. Then Moi, of course, Moi becomes the president, yes?
Yeah.
So, 78, is it 1978 to 1991?
Yeah.
According to you, if you had to summarize it, what do you think happened at that time?
He was just consolidating power. Moi was a very... I think people use the term... I don't know. People say he was an insecure president. A large chunk of that was just consolidating power.
Okay.
And so he consolidated his power. He really went after dissenters because at the time he had Western support.
Yeah.
And Western support basically meant you could get away with murder. He really went after the judiciary. I think he imported a chief justice from somewhere.
Yeah.
Who's really the one who got the judiciary into a mess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll remember his name and I'll send it to you. And then now the rulings now became political. That's when the judiciary properly shifted to being fully political, where the state tells the judiciary the judgments and rulings it wants. And then now the Cold War ends. And, you know, that's why there was an ambassador. I forget his name. He was a journalist who was the ambassador to Kenya, who really used to go after Moi publicly.
Kenya from US?
Yeah, US ambassador to Kenya. Smith Hempston.
Hempston, yes.
Yeah, he really went after. And then now, because we had no support and there was no IMF money, the economy was basically in a straitjacket for the next 11 years. And he was being forced to do reforms. So even the constitution we enjoy today is a byproduct of that period when...
Which 11 years from? Which year to which year?
No, so from 91 to 2002.
Oh,
so the constitution, like a large chunk of... People don't know, but like a large chunk of the reforms in our financial system. To get money from the IMF, we had to reform our banking system because a bunch of banks had collapsed in the 80s.
Yeah, can a trade bank, yeah?
Yeah.
National
and there was
bank.
a lot of money laundering and all of that. So we had to reform our central bank, give it more independence, reform our currency, make it freely floating, open up our capital markets.
Yeah.
There was quite an amount of reform that happened there. That's when Kenya Airways was also listed. Safaricom and the reforms around there by, I think it was, I don't know if Dalmas Otieno was involved. The date was just passed away, but around 1997, a new Telecommunications Act was passed, which is what created the framework for Safaricom, Seacom, and many of these other organizations. It delineated all the sort of service providers. So a lot of the reforms actually happened in the second Moi era, not voluntarily, but because now for him, all the money, all the budgetary support was tied to structural reform. And so there's quite an amount of reform we enjoy today. IPPG started the constitution process. The financial, the central banking was fixed in that period. That's when they got rid of rate caps, which Uhuru introduced, but they got rid of rate caps in 94. There's a bunch of things they got rid of at that time because of IMF pushing. They reformed the telco space. They reformed capital markets. Even Kenya Revenue Authority, that's when it was introduced. There was a lot of reform that happened in that period.
Yeah.
That, the next president basically benefited from. But the painful decisions were made at that time. It was not exactly because Moi was magnanimous, but he had no choice. Because he was also playing... He was a very shady guy. So like at some point, I remember, was it in 95? The World Bank had all this, or the IMF had all these requirements for him to follow. The instant they sent the last of the cash, he bought a plane. And then, yes. Even the Dream Team, Akina Naikuni and all these other guys, even KQ now was liberalized at that time.
Yeah.
And there was the Dream Team, Akina KQ, Akina Naikuni. The instant they were done, he got the final funding, he fired all of them. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Damn. Alafu nini, so Kibaki of course comes in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Why do you think the hope by, I think, 2 years time? Because by 3 years time tulikuwa back to...
I think hope died March 2004 when the draft was killed off. When he reneged on the new constitution. I think
ilikuwa time ya Mbai. When did Mbai die?
I can't remember when Mbai died exactly, but I think... See, the thing is, everyone was willing to wait if the outcome was a reformed state.
Yes.
People were willing to... Oh, you're going to fix the police force. Excellent. We'll wait for this. And everyone was waiting for this new constitution that had been promised within 100 days. Like, he had like a bunch of things that were to be done within 100 days. When he reneged, I think that's when it became public that this guy did not want to... he did some good things, free primary education, reforming of the business environment and a bunch of other things. But I think that's when things went sideways.
Yeah, because Mbai died in September 2003.
Yeah.
So ilikuwa haraka.
Yeah.
Because I remember Mbai kulikuwa ni hiyo story ya constitution, the new
Yeah.
constitution. So what do you think Kibaki alikuwa na shida na kwa the new constitution?
I don't think he had problem with it as much as
wale wamemzunguka.
No, it's not even wale wamemzunguka. I think that first year this guy checked out. Because when he was back, you could tell he was in charge. That's the first thing. Second thing is, it's very easy. You know, like the thing is, it's very easy when you're in power. Suddenly becomes, but why do I need to stress myself? I have the power.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a lethargy thing. Because eventually he ended up being forced to push it through. Yeah. It's just that people had to die.
Yeah, because sasa the 2010.
Yeah.
And of course 2007 IKONINI. So nimeinterrupt show kukuremind juu ya LemFi, na sunajua LemFi inakupatiaga an opportunity especially kwa huko maside za US kubaki umetumia pesa Kenya haraka na usisahau transactions zinakuwaga free. Lakini saa hizi kitu moja ile nimenotice, kuna wasee wengi sana wale wako states wale wame sign up to LemFi, lakini jo bado hamja transact jo. That first transaction jo baki umeifanya, make sure umetransact at least $100 ndio baki umepata $20 cashback. Alafu pia sisi kama IKONINI tubaki tumepata $20 from your deal. Alafu pia usisahau kuwa saa hizi jo LemFi inakupatia an opportunity ya kutuma pesa Kenya, lakini kama uko US and you need support, and pia unaweza baki umetumiwa pesa from Kenya to the US through LemFi. Alafu pia mkiwa masite za states na nyinyi wote wawili mko na LemFi, mzabaki umetumia na pesa. Unajua si lazima mtumie ile nyingine sijui ya huko. Tumia tu yetu ya mtaa, LemFi to LemFi hapo haraka. Alafu vile pia musemaga siku hizi kuna vile mzabaki umelipa till number na pia mzabaki umelipa pay bill direct. So tuseme you're doing like this construction project and you need to deposit do kwa bank account fulani na uko na pay bill ama a certain company and you have the pay bill, you can just do that through LemFi. Then upatie raya fulani, alafu since uko states ya mwe kucheza jo. So unangoja nini jo? Changamka haraka. Baki umefanya that first transaction kutumia LemFi. Usahau ni promo code ni IKONINI. Your promo code ya IKONINI ndio inakupatia $20 cashback on your first transaction. LemFi, international payments for everyone. Wacha turudi kwa show. So yeah, 2007 happens and I think how I always look at how this is reported in central province, yes? So you'll hear someone like Gachagua say, huyu mzee alisumbua Kibaki. So such a statement waichukua gaje? Is it...
No, I think guys need to be serious. Look, at the end of the day, when Raila said Kibaki tosha, Raila was a good man. When Raila said Kibaki has screwed me, Raila is a bad man. I don't think Raila had changed any in between. I think it was just, people misled the country. That's why the 2007 election should not have been a close contest if Kibaki had kept his word. It's just a thing to remember. So it was not Raila saying it. It was the entire nation saying that, hey, you guy, we don't agree with what you did. Yeah. Because if he had done a good job, it would have been a simple thing for him to win. Yeah.
And I always wonder, like, why do you think he felt he needed to play the tribal card, considering he's the president who I think was voted in by the most tribes?
I think people go back to the cocoons. If you look at all our presidents, when it's come down to the wire, Adoito in Kikuyu, our people.
Yeah.
Moi did the same thing.
Yeah.
It's when you've lost the rest of the thing, you go back to your people.
Yeah, and people, of course, wase and tukistick na hiyo, like another thing that happened, of course, ni the scandals.
Yeah.
So kulikuwa na scandal ya Ganile. When Kimunya was saying that I'd rather die.
That was the Regency, Grand Regency. There was that's the thing about scandals in Kenya have always been there.
Yeah,
there's always been a corruption scandal or another. If you go back to the newspapers in 1969, Mwai was talking about rooting out corruption. There's an actual newspaper clip. foreign governments were complaining about corruption in Kenya in the 60s. The Kenya government has been eternally corrupt, and our mayors, even in the colonial period, were notorious for corruption. Kenya has been corrupt throughout. I think this is one of those things I've just come to accept.
Nani, did you follow up on Nani's wealth? This other guy. There's this guy who, according to me, was would, if there was a surgery to be white and gay take, according to me, Jonjo. Because you remember the way, like, Jonjo used to be this guy where atimpaka suits. His suits had to come from London and what. But now, baadaye, you come to understand that he was so rich. Because even Sankara was his, ama?
He was one of the owners, if I'm not wrong.
But the majority one, if I'm not.
I can't remember. But effectively, a large chunk of these guys had businesses that were adjacent to power at the time. And so the small stories that are never told in Kenya. Like there was a rule passed for, I think, local ownership of banks and insurance companies.
Yeah.
So a lot of these insurance companies ended up having to move to local ownership. And a lot of these banks ended up having local ownership, and people who are politically connected ended up owning them. So Njonjo was tied to CMC. Government used to buy exclusively from CMC and like a bunch of other businesses. So he was wealthy, and he also came from pedigree, quote unquote. So he came from a wealthy father. That was him.
Because EPS ndio gatina ile, we've had the story at even dreaming that the president is dead.
Yeah. But that was part of the thing at the time. You needed to... There's a book I remember reading. I don't know if it was The Man by Ibi Dongala.
Yeah.
It was The Man by Ibi Dongala. It's a short story. It's in Encounters from Africa. But they create this myth. It's of what do you call it? Of being like a deity, like a god. So that, and the more extreme you are as a lieutenant, the more favorably you are seen by the leader. So like a lot of these things we see with leaders being like extreme publicly, it's like a signal to the main leader of your commitment. I'm willing to look stupid for you kind of thing.
Yeah. Alafu ikikam to hizi corruption scandals, there's one thing I always say, that in Kenya tumekuja tukadharau a billion. Understand? So you remember like when I think when Ruto was still a deputy president and he was being asked about Kimwarer, alisema tu silikuwa tu 7 billion only. So scandals kama Goldenberg, like how much did we lose?
I think that's when they said like 25% of our GDP. Of our GDP.
Yeah.
It was like some insane amount of money.
Anglo leasing
was a few billion shillings. I think it was like 10 billion or something. I can't remember the exact figure.
Namseka nani, how do you think he got away with it? Because even majuzi, when there was this scandal Imani Estate, you saw the scandal Imani Estate, the one I think maybe you're talking about, Iland ya Kanyotu.
Oh, yes. You
saw Nani was still involved somehow. Patni. How do you think Patni got away with, like, how do you unendaje na quota ya GDP?
No, you're doing it with the powers that be. You're not doing this thing alone. Yeah. That's the mistake people make. It's not like you're the one stealing.
Yeah.
You're stealing with a bunch of other guys. If you read through that Bosire report back then, random people in Kenya got money. Like very random people got money from Goldenberg.
Yeah.
Like a random lawyer gets, I don't know how many million. Like that report was insane. Yeah. So you pay off people around you, and then the state also, like this thing was thought of at the very highest levels of State House. You don't do that without state support. Yeah. So like we've always lost money. But it's been like the leadership has always known.
Okay. And 2007.
Yeah.
Would you put any responsibility on Kibaki?
I put it squarely on the leaders who are in charge. It's either you were incompetent, in which case you are running a country without the ability to safeguard the people's lives, or you are culpable, or like you are the person in charge. People died under your watch.
Yeah. So 07 happens, and then after 07 happens, what happens? In 2012, Uhuru Ruto rise.
So that's why I shared the article, The Kenyatta Affair. Kurt Waldheim was Austria's, I think, prime minister. And he was also accused of crimes against humanity during the Nazi period. And he ended up becoming the UN Secretary General, if I remember correctly. the thing was politicized, and there were a couple of layers to it. I think Raila went down the path of reclaiming the Mao, which ensured the Kalenjin was on the other side of him.
Yeah.
And then also the threat to prosecute galvanized these two leaders into protecting themselves. And the net effect of that was they won. And there was also like a whole leave our people, we are Kenyans, we're independence thing, which was exactly the strategy Waldheim used.
Yes. Okay. So, of course, why do you think people look at, like right now we look at Kibaki, Kenyatta's 10 years as very rosy compared to Ruto? Tukianza na Kenyatta kwanza.
I honestly, that's the one that baffles me. That's the period that baffles me the most. Because a lot of the pain we're experiencing now started then. Yeah, so like a lot of the policies and the way to think about it is you can't, unless you're really, really reckless, you can't just borrow money from public markets in a day. You compound it and the interest rates go up. And our debt has been compounding over time. And now it's when the debt is due. And for us to be in this position, there's all that debt was accumulated during Kenyatta's time, and there was no tied-linked productivity. So that's why I get very confused by the state. Like, he should not get a free pass.
Yeah. Because, like, how much did we lose kwa Eurobond?
One, I'm not sure. Those exact figures, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things now. I think we'll have to have this convo in full later. Those are some of the things like I wanted to actually in detail prepare and give you like a full thing. Because I have the data. I just never got a chance to fully finish my preparation document.
Because nkona check up inasema that in June 2014 Kenya issued its first ever Eurobond worth $2 billion. Sindio? That was later expanded to 2.75 billion. Then soon after, Raila said that the 2 billion could not be accounted for. And this triggered what came to be known as the Eurobond scandal. Then ikakuwa the national government, then a national treasury led by Henry Rotich insisted all the money was received and used properly. But later the Auditor General raised concerns about the lack of clear documentation for how the funds was spent. So now kuna watu semaga that Eurobond ndio ilitengeneza hii place naitwa nini? Shisikiaga Northlands. Have you had that connection?
No, I've not had that connection. The thing about that's a bit tricky to speak about because now there's no visibility there. But Northlands has been in the family holding for a while, and there have been other business properties there. So that one is a bit difficult to link. What I can speak to is the fact that the money doesn't seem to have had an effect on the economy.
So now let's look at Ruto's presidency. Yes. So far the economy, because I had him like, was it last week akiwa US kibonga juu inflation kwenda chini, kibonga juu kustabilize the shilling. And so why do you feel like people still can't feel this?
Because economies take a while to. There's you can't teach GDP numbers. So like, let me give you an example. I decided today to make an investment in, let's say, Turkana. I decided I'm going to build a supermarket. Let's say a Carrefour. So there's people will make money, like the local economy, they will make money as I build the place.
Yes.
That's step one. But there'll be that particular place in the economy will have an increase in cash over like a 12-month or 18-month period as the store is being built. And then the store opens up and leads to an increase in demand from other manufacturers in the country. So me with my tomatoes in Dondori sells them. You with your mangoes, or you with your milk now sells into this new market. But now just think about that thing. You put in the capital day one, then it takes 18 months for me to get that 500 shilling a day increase or 500 shilling a month increase in revenue. Macroeconomics, these things take a while. So like when the Eurobond was taken, we didn't immediately feel the pinch of the debt service. It's now that there's been no link direct increase in productivity, but the money is still being taken from our pockets that we feel it. So even if you get the economic restructuring right, it takes a while for people to have a surplus to invest in the economy.
Yes.
Because that's effectively what needs to happen. People need to have more money in their pockets that they can use like on their spending and on the economy in general. And that just takes a while. Like it has a lag. It's like latency. So even if I do everything correctly now, it'll take 6 months to a year for people to start feeling it. And then even then it won't be like an insane thing. Because remember, when you look at KNBS statistics, we got poorer over the last term of Kenyatta.
Yeah.
Like in terms of real income. So even if people's incomes go up, they'll still be going back to where they were before and not yet thriving. So that's part of the problem. Like the statistics say real incomes collapsed. Real incomes need to start going back up. And then it also needs to be equally distributed in the economy. So not just quote unquote the Buddha person or the wealthy person, it's everyone, the middle class, the upper, lower middle class, everyone needs to start feeling better for this thing to transform.
Okay. So of course hii ndo swali iliwaletea shida last time, but do you think he can turn it around? Like, do you think
the jury remains to be seen because there are some fundamentals that have been have been fixed.
Yeah.
There's also some mischief going on. I won't say mischief, but there's some stuff that's going on that you're like, okay, like this securitization of our tax revenue. That's debt without saying it's debt, you know.
Yeah.
So that GDP is coming down, but you've sort of built a stadium that has a claim on our tax revenue. So effectively, your revenue, debt to revenue, has gone sideways. So now the amount of debt you have, the amount of revenue you can actually properly commit to has gone down if you treat it as debt. I'm misspeaking, but effectively the long and the short of it is a check-off loan.
Yeah.
I can say I don't have a loan, but it's a check-off loan that my boss takes before my salary lands in my account. Yeah. So I can claim that I don't have a loan, but I do have one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And sasa nini, the Gachagua factor comes in, and so do you think it was a good move to impeach the guy?
I don't know
in
yet.
hindsight.
I don't know yet. Here's how I look at it. In our politics, vice presidents have typically taken it in the neck.
Yeah.
Ruto and Mwai are the only ones to sort of survive to the end of their president's term. The two of them. All of the others wamepigwa changa before the presidential term. People forget there was a time we didn't have a VP. Mwai refused to reappoint Saitoti, and then there was a lot of opprobrium. Then one day in the side of the road, Mwai goes, because you people want a vice president, he can come back to work. Our vice presidents have been notoriously, it's a very difficult job to have. But interestingly enough, outside of the Kenyattas, all of our other presidents have had to be vice presidents.
Yeah.
So it's like it's almost like a poison chalice, but a necessary step to leadership. So Kibaki was a VP for like 8 years. Moi was a VP for 12 or so years, or 13 or however many. And then with this Ruto. Nearly 10 years. So it's one of those things that
it's never been a direct, apart from Moi ndio ilikuwa very direct path. Moi na Ruto.
But the rest,
but Kibaki alipitia.
Even this guy had to be a DPM, Uhuru. It's a very risky job. Because if you start, you have to take responsibility for what your leader is doing.
Yes.
But if you take too much responsibility, you're also pushed out.
Yeah, kill your chances. Because you always forget that Mudavadi was also vice president.
Mudavadi was a VP. We've had Kalonzo was a VP. Jaramogi, Josphat Karanja. There are quite a number.
Yeah. Alafu sasa, of course, conflict ya Ruto and Gachagua has brought back, I don't know if I can say it's brought back tribal politics, but it's after the Gen Z protests, niko na feel kama tribal politics was taking a backseat. But now it's come back.
I think people are trying to go for the constituencies they can control. I think that's what it is. Everyone wants to, because that's effectively what that quote about shareholder politics was. It's, I come with a Kikuyu constituency. You tell me what you'll give me. The other guy comes with the Luo constituency.
Yeah.
What will you give the people? So I think it's politicians trying to go back to their bases. The country changes when the citizens ignore these people. Because politicians respond to what we vote for.
Yeah.
But remember, all of these politicians who've risen to the presidential have been in politics for a while. And the country has repeatedly voted for them. The day they start falling off is the day this country improves. Because all of our leaders, Kenya does not elect greenhorns. All of our leaders, Kenyatta himself, Kenyatta 1 was in, I think he ended up in the Legislative Council. He'd been in KCA, he'd been in a number of political parties. Moi was in the Legislative Council. In fact, Kenyatta 2 was the first president who was not in the Legislative Council, if I remember correctly. Moi was in that LegCo. He was vice president I think when he became president, he was the longest serving vice president, became the longest serving president. Kibaki had been Moi's vice president, Kenyatta's finance minister. He'd been the LegCo or joined parliament shortly after its abolition or something. Uhuru was the aberration because he was the least experienced president we've elected. Ruto had been an MP from 97.
Uhuru alishindaga MP 2007?
That's the first time 2002 is the first time he won.
O2 time akiran against Kibaki as president, he still won his MP seat, eh?
He won his MP seat, so he was the official leader of the opposition. That's the first time he won. And 10 years later, he became president.
Yeah.
That's the shortest sort of path in our history.
Alafu, hii politics ya punishment, what do you think happens with it? Either punishment ama woishe. Woishe in that Uhuru betrayed Ruto, so let's vote in Ruto. Sindio? Now Ruto has betrayed in Gachagua.
No, I don't think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
With Uhuru, the economy was struggling. People were actually tired.
Yeah, okay.
So that was like a referendum on the economy. I think if the economy turns around, 2027 is very different from even what Gachagua or Ruto expect. If it doesn't turn around, then... But also to your point, there's a lot of... We are voting out this person, we are voting in this other person.
Yeah.
We've never been very good at rewarding people who are screwed over in this country. Jaramogi never got his day. Matiba never got his day.
Yeah.
Raila has still not become president. Winning of elections is another matter.
Yeah.
I'm not commenting on whether or not he's won, but there are some that have been contested.
Yeah.
And then... Yeah, and the people who sort of whistleblow are basically kicked out and ignored. The guy who whistleblew on Goldenberg died a pauper.
Yeah.
So I don't think we particularly care for Wishe. If we cared for Wishe, many of our leaders would have been very different.
Because I was I think I don't know if I said this even on Sajid's podcast, but I was talking about how when I react to a video, I normally know the sort of comments I'm going to get. Yeah. So like on the day we are shooting this, I'd reacted to the scandal, the eviction scandal, Gachagua. And the way I reacted to it was, of course, I just mocked him mocked him from the perspective of having a side chick at that age. You understand? Just for fun. And you can see from the comments, I could see the fact that he's a de facto Mount Kenya leader. Like the amount of you're disrespecting Gachagua comments that I saw from Central were zile that this guy now is the leader. And is he the best leader from Central Kenya? If you're to ask me, no, he's not. But the fact that he was betrayed in quotes by Ruto,
I think
he becomes the de facto leader.
It's more than that. I think he has political capital.
Yeah.
And that political capital is why he was chosen to be VP.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is why you're just sort of looking at it the other way. It's not the way he brought something to the table, and he's trying to assert it.
Yeah.
To make his life simpler. Yeah.
Okay, but how like before he became what he is right now, yes? I remember doing a podcast, and you're doing it with even Ian. Ian is from, is it Gathiga, Kiambu? And I remember telling him, I remember him telling me that in 2022, if Ruto had a running mate called Joroge, blah, 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 that people didn't know, they'd still have voted for Ruto. That Gachagua played a very small role. So I remember him saying that, and even sasa mimi vile Gachagua was getting impeached, my counter argument to that was, since politics is emotional, this guy is going to end up as a very huge leader.
To be fair, he might have a point, but this is something... Kikuyu culture had like a lot about keeping your word.
Yes.
And I think that's something that sort of got lost in the modern politics. So like one of the things that Kikuyu said is that they're keeping their word to Ruto about the election. So maybe it's the same thing. I'm not sure. I struggle to comment on like current affairs because many times I get things wrong. But with history, like, everything is perfectly documented. But I struggle with current affairs because I don't fully understand the actors. And it's a space in which I've been wrong the most. Because I think I'm seeing something. And then like later on is when I'm looking and I'm like, wait, I missed this entire thing. So politics is like current affairs. I struggle. History is normally very easy to piece together because you can see, now there's no unknown. In 2002, it was or 2003, you could not have foreseen. If somebody told you in 2002 that the next election will be violent, and Raila and Kibaki will be at odds, and ICC will be called in, you'd be like, are you high?
Because 2002 was so good. Even 2005, the referendum was very peaceful, yes.
So now, remember, we did this election 3 years ago. This is like being in Kenya in 2005. So it was 3 years after Kibaki won. Around 2005, you could not have forecasted 2007. And that's kind of like the struggle I'm having. Like things have not crystallized. And I know in Kenya, there's typically a meta game afoot. And that's the one I've never been able to understand.
Okay, na tukimalizia, I think the term I'm going to ask you, there's a new term that I've seen on the internet. And the term is Ruto is being fought because of Kikuyu entitlement. Do you think there is any truth to that statement? So nishasikia watu kama kina Sudi wakisema that wakati wa Uhuru kila kitu iko sawa, wakati wa Kibaki kila kitu iko sawa, lakini wakati wa Ruto sasa ndio mnasema must go.
So this is not the problem of this constituency politics. So the thing is, there's never a simple story. So was Mwai bad towards the Kikuyus in the 80s? Yes. Why was he bad? Because there was a plot to remove him from power. That's the part that's unspoken. The morality of that aside, I'm not talking about, I'm not getting into who did what and why. Like these things were documented.
Yes.
People were contemptuous towards him even before they wanted to change the constitution and all of that. So he comes in and there's this whole cleanup, and so Kikuyus feel victimized, and that's why they formed the opposition. And you keep going into this rabbit hole. But the danger of this path where one community, one leader seeks solace in his community is now when you look at the violence, it's always been, you guys in our land and you're not doing what we want. So you're creating potentially volatile situation.
Yes.
And I don't know how this ends. But it's a reaction to the politics of the day. And that's why I say, with current affairs, I really struggle because you're in a situation like the self-immolation of Mohamed Bouazizi.
Yes.
Where when that council worker went and harmed this guy, no one will tell you that Syria will be burning 10 years later. And that was the net effect of that one guy in Tunisia. This guy burns himself and the Arab Spring begins, and the entire Middle East now just goes up in flames. And that's what I struggle with. There's so many moving parts in our politics. And and one thing people keep saying Gen Z, but this is not the first time we've been in this state.
Yeah.
Our population was fairly low. Like the guys born in the 60s are the ones who led the shift to multipartism.
Yes. They are Gen X's, I'm a baby boomers.
Yeah. Millennials are the ones who are sort of caught up in the period of the new constitution and the sort of push at that time. And then now you've got the Gen Zs. You've got these shifts, and I don't know that I have the right answer to some of these things.
I think one thing I have to give you credit for is that I always say, when people say that Gen Zs are the bravest, and Gen Zs get angry at me when I say that's bullshit.
No.
And I say it's bullshit. Why? Because Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, all these countries don't have the freedoms we have, and these freedoms came courtesy of Gen X's and baby boomers.
Yeah, so what people forget, and that's why I keep saying, go back and look at the torture chambers in your house.
Yeah.
Go back and look at like the way people were being treated in the 80s. And people fought through that.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was life or death. The people who...
Yeah, there was no middle ground.
Matiba was never fully treated for his stroke. Like there were people who paid the price with their lives and with their health and with all of these things. So it's not as simple as saying...
This is the bravest generation.
No, it's. I'm not saying that they're not brave. They are brave.
Yeah, they're brave.
They're very brave. And I don't expect them... Here's what I'll say. The beauty with youth is it's unencumbered. So one of the problems with people like me is I'm very jaded because like I will immerse myself in history. A young person doesn't care about the past. And those are sort of like the people who need... Because society progresses a grave at a time.
Yeah.
So for people who are born in the Kenyatta era, like for them, this is a very rosy present. But people want more. And I think that desire for more is good.
It's a good thing, yes.
So I think I wouldn't begrudge the Gen Zs. What I'd say is they have a new view of the world.
Yeah.
That they want to leave their mark on the world. In as much as the previous, my father's generation and my grandfather's generation gave us independence.
Yes.
Then the next generation gave us multipartism. Then the next generation gave us a new constitution and more freedom. Then the next generation wants to give us a more responsive democracy. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's a good thing that they have that freedom. I struggle criticizing them because, again, like this thing I was saying, it's like they're in the arena. And whether or not we participate, we'll benefit from what they've done. Like all of us, when Gen Zs protested in 2024, all of our wallets are lighter.
Yeah.
Like just our money was not taken from our pockets. And I think we need to be thankful, even though people have this. I think we just need to be thankful because they've saved our necks.
I think with me, it's not that I'm being thankful. All Mutakaga to acknowledge is what Gen X's and baby boomers did for this country.
Yeah.
The fact that I always look at it, maybe I'm selfish, but I always look at it as Iko Nini. I say Iko Nini as a podcast cannot survive in Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Sudan. Why? Because of the Gen X's and baby boomers. The Gen Zs could not have gone to the streets without Gen X's and baby boomers. They created that, what is it called, foundation for you to be able to go out on the street without being shot kwa mlango. So it's called like you're standing on the shoulders of giants, and you have to understand that you claiming you're the bravest makes you, I feel like it somehow makes you ungrateful for you're not looking at your neighbors and seeing their baby boomers and Gen X's did nothing. In Tanzania mkitokaga hivi nje kwa mlango, it's a problem.
I understand because like you're effectively living under the tree that was planted by someone else. But what I keep saying is like I in as much as I agree with you, I think the bigger thing is let them fight for their truth.
Yes.
Which is a like I said earlier, society progresses a grave at a time.
Yeah.
We need to let these guys build the world they want to live in. Not giving them space to be who they are leads to like very dysfunctional societies because now older people tend to be a lot more conservative and selfish as they age.
Yes.
And these guys basically fight for the oxygen they need. Like we will never in our history, Kenya has never had a protest on tax policy.
That
these
was a
guys
good
are
thing.
now protesting on the state of the world. Like it's an evolution. We've
Which is
moved
good.
beyond beyond politics, and we're like, no, we deserve to be able to accumulate wealth and build wealth and have good incomes. So that's why I'm not too. I have my. Let me put it this way: I don't agree with everything, but I think that they're good for everyone.
Yes,
that's
yes.
the thing.
I think,
And I struggle with criticizing them, especially publicly, because they're doing their part.
Yeah.
And now what will happen is 20 years from now, somebody else will be saying,
they did nothing.
No, not that they did nothing. We'll say the Gen Zs did this, and the Gen Ys did this, and the Gen X. So we'll have added.
Yes.
This is their brick to society. And they will probably, 20 years from now, be looking at the Gen Alphas and being like, but we were on the streets and look at these guys complain. And I think that's...
Yeah, which is a very good thing. I think for me, I think I always appreciate where Kenya is so much. And I know we deserve more. That's why I always want every generation never to dismiss another one.
Yeah.
Like, because nikiangalia kina TZ and UG, you're actually sad that just even commenting about the president can end up being such a huge problem for you. Na sisi hapa Kenya, like, you can just wake up every day one term and you are 99% of the time you'll be okay. In places ka kina TZ, right now you say anything about Samia, 99% of the time you'll be in a very bad place.
I'm happy with my democracy here.
Yes. Yeah. I'm
a bit too... when I was younger, I had a very rabid Twitter. I used to go after leaders. So like I cannot imagine.
Akina UGTZ.
No. Yeah, I cannot imagine having grown up in that world. Like I was very hostile on Twitter. I was once I forced an MP to issue an apology or something. Not an MP, but one of these guys was running for office. So then I've cooled down significantly.
Yeah, the youth. Youth lazima tunini. But Phares, asante sana.
No, thank you for having me.
Nimefurahia sana hii conversation. And I hope especially the part where we talked about education and careers, I hope watu wamelearn something from that.
Yes.
Na pia from Kenya's history.
No, I actually want to
we're always striving for better.
Yeah, I actually want to do the history one in greater detail because we just never got enough time today. That one we can do later in greater detail.
Okay.
Because I think it's worth having a dedicated episode from effectively looking at our history from 1890 to date. In a more,
The British East Africa Company.
All the way to now, because a lot of these things are like linked,
Yeah.
But thank you for having me.
Yeah, because I always say the whole tribal thing came from the British East Africa Company. Yeah, but from my point in Akwaga, not because of anything, but because the British East Africa Company decide Kenya starts here and ends here. And with that, it means that us uniting is not as easy as France, England, or, but we'll get there. Tunaenda pole pole. Yeah. So
Oh, fantastic.
Niko na outro. Imekuwa ni episode
we can edit that out.
No, it's okay. Episode 528 kama kawaida tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend, tukimalizia tukisema IKONINI.